Hello, and welcome to Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic, and to the Democratic Bohemia, the land of the Democratic Bohemia, where today I just want to ride along with some trains. So, since we left off at another time, or at the oil refinery, I thought we'd start here, and there's a grain storage on fire. It is a real possibility that we don't have any actual fire protection out here. No. Fire truck was called and it's headed for fire, but is it close enough? If this thing burns down, I need to rebuild it, and I need to find the trucks that go to it and fix their schedules for picking up and what have you. But here is this. Yes, right. This is actually the clothing. Yes, this is the clothing farming thingamajig. And there we have fire stations that are actually close enough to the agro farms to be able to put out fire. We hope, and this will work out very nicely. So, back on the issue at hand, or what we were supposed to do, and that was just to ride trains as we fly over the Republic at a somewhat jerky motion. The jerky motion will cease soon. What are you? You will go to the border. That's fire extinguished. Good work, guys. Let's see. Is there anything else coming? No. We will go with you then. The next stop for you is Segadora, the train diesel station, where we unload a bit of diesel. So here we go. We set off out over the wilderness. These signals are really tight together here. Someone might have gone a little bit overboard or forgot to clean up after making a mess. But if it works, don't fix it, right? And it works. Just checking what's going on there. That's just an oil train. Doesn't take anything the other way. This one is running loaded both ways because we have an oil field quite close to the export place where we sell the diesel that we have refined, as we power by the oil company headquarters building there through the tunnel, through a very old tunnel that was built early on in the history of the Republic. And here we go. Trains coming out of the tunnel. We have a red light. There's a single track here. This is interesting. Yeah, there's another tunnel, but there's also a spur here, which one could take to end up. Yeah, that connects this is the western main line, and this little spur here connects it to the steel area and everything that is over there. We are still waiting at the signal. Someone else got through before we did. Come on. Well, can watch you. Meanwhile, you are the one that snuck past. What are you? I know what you are. You're a coal train. You are fully loaded with coal as you're snaking through the countryside here. And we are heading for the steel mill area, of course. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. So, how are we doing with our oil train? Here we are. He is moving again. He's moving with 408 tons of diesel on board as he heads out over the landscape with the Lenin statues that we built in order to keep appearances up. After all, we use this Western main line to sell a lot of stuff to the NATO countries, and that might not be appreciated by people on the other side of this border. So, in order to persuade them that we are really good and friendly communist brethren, we built a lot of statues of Lenin at the border house thing there. No one's ever really seemed to bother about anything. There's the landscape. Building rails is interesting in this game. What is this? There's where we are meeting another train. I reckon this might be an alcohol export train. Yes, it is. What will happen if we were to follow that one instead? No, we'll continue the eastern main line for a bit more, and he will unload here. Is there anything for him to unload? No, it's almost full, but yeah, fill it up a bit and move along. Oh, the torque of the American diesel locomotive. Good stuff. It's a short train. Yeah, that was due to the redevelopment that was done around to fix everything, of course, around the oil refinery. Turns out that I was a little bit tight on the switching area for the railways, so I had to shorten my trains. So yeah, I have more trains now, but shorter. I prefer to have longer trains, but I have shorter trains here. As you see, as we pass another one, heading through here, and coming up on one of the oil source fields, with the train that is departing as well. And here we are going to jump off, because this area is something of a railway things in this game are difficult to get to work. This works by principle of there's one block around here never mind. Let's see what happens as these two guys race for it. Which one will be first to the signal? Will it be the food thing, maybe? Doesn't care anything. No, it's the grain. Way ahead. Come on. You need to slow down. No, he didn't need. Yes, he did need to slow down there. That's too bad. Well, look at this. We've got so much stuff going on. We've got coal train, oil train, trucks going, food trucks. More likelihood since they're yellow. Food trucks are yellow in my republic. And I wanted to catch a train that goes from here to an area that is quite unexploited compared to this area down here, where we do quite heavy industry, lot of steel, a lot of dirty industry situated on the border with the Soviet Union. But over here, we are a bit. We haven't expanded. Stuff is basically the way it was before I came in total and complete power of this land. Let's try and keep some focus, at least, because the patience of you lovely people that are sticking with me through this confused madness, your patience might be being tried a little bit more than can be expected to be reasonable. Here, let's go back to riding oil trains for now. This is the one that we started out with, and we're back on board. Or slightly to the side of it. I figure we should maybe hop on a grain train if we happen upon one. They do come often. They do come through here quite often, after all, because of the great farm area that we have there. Also to the east of the eastern main line, actually, filling up all the space that was there to the border. But this train is not heading up there. That will be left here. But we are heading through the Snottow border, which is a long way away. And on the way, we have the pleasure of enjoying the great viaduct which the proud workers built. Or maybe it was imported labor that built it. Anyway, we are proud of it because it is grandiose. And of course, there is traffic on it. We have to wait. What can it be that is coming the other way? I bet there is an identical train as the one we are following, but on a different place in its schedule. Let's see what there is. That was obviously completely wrong. That was our steel exporter. That is a train that is carrying a lot of valuables. And it's one of the key drivers behind our pensions fund in Dollarsville that we've got going on. Train is running at 100% engine RPM, 99 engine RPM, 99 RPM apparently to go up here and go over the viaduct. It's rather high here, and I do have a lot of respect for the Republic's train engineers and train drivers, as the railways are dangerous at times, and they don't slow down for sharp corners or anything. They power through. And these tanker wagons that we got here, they're rated for 30 kilometers an hour. But do you think that whoever he is that's running this train is obeying that? No, he's going the maximum speed that the locomotive can provide. That is very good of him, because he's helping our economy to swiftly move the resources around and so on. Of course, there's a lot of wood here. Yeah, let's try and catch that elusive train. That elusive train that goes a bit of a special route. It doesn't follow. I believe it is this one. If it has a cooling wagon on the end, that means a meat wagon on the end. That means it is the right one. And What is this? If not a refrigerated wagon at the end of it. This one is the one that we're going to ride. We are already fully loaded on meat, but still we are heading to the meat factory to load up on meat. But not the meat factory, the meat area. Meat area. Which is conveniently situated in this of a spur here of the soil grain area. And yeah. Here's an example of a junction that looks insane but works in this game. And trains this game intuitive they may not be, but it is possible to get them to work. Up here I have cold storage, as if we have a lot of meat saved here for a rainy day or something. We like to eat meat in the Republic after all. We have such a surplus of meat here. We even have trucks standing by and waiting to unload, and the only actual consumer that we got here, I believe it's this train that didn't load much this time either. And now we are going down to the food production area. Look at this magnificent railway that we built in the Republic of the Demokratiska Böhmen. There are some real proud people that have put their backs into building the wonderful infrastructure that allows our economy to go so well in these times in the 80s where stuff is getting really, really expensive due to inflation. But we still can afford to invest in great infrastructure projects because we have such a well-laid foundation back in the 60s. Yes, it was a lovely time, and it is still a lovely time, even though the Soviet Union might feel a little bit trembling or something. Look at the train. And look at this is the spaghetti junction of the Demokratiska Böhmen. The train does some amazing maneuvers through there. This train do maneuvers, follows the rail, and hopefully it doesn't derail. This one didn't derail. The skill and the bravery of the train engineer is obviously a very contributing factor to this. And what is this train then doing? It is a bit special because this one is moving food and meat from this area of the map over a specially purposefully built rail line that is different from other rail lines because it wasn't built for export. It was built for internal transport of goods and to have an area where we could keep a secondary stock on things. So that is what this train does, is to transport things around between these places. And after that we have loaded up here at the food factory. Look at it. Expertly laid out railway junctioning here. We have a blue signal that means that there should be we were able to pass. There is one platform ready and waiting for us to receive us here. And at the other platform is a train of grain, 50 tons left of grain there, and we stop here and start loading up on food. How much food is there in the warehouse? Quite a bit. We will be able to fill up and just be on our way. Isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? There we go. Already filled up on food. 103 tons of food worth 158,000 rubles or $225,000, including the meat. but we are not exporting. We're not in the business of exporting food. There might be a truck going exporting, but we are riding trains today, and now we will take an interesting journey through the landscape. I shall tell you something about the heavy investment that we made to build this rail line that we will soon take a right to in order to get on. But we have a red light. It's from a train all the way up there that for some reason thinks we need a red light here. I mean, this could have been solved by putting a little signal here. But then again, it is working. I'm not going to touch it. It's fine. We don't need trains that run super smooth. We're not in. We are a laid back public after all. There we go. I'm quite proud of the fact that there was so much food available from the warehouse there at the food factory. It means that we're doing something right. As we head into the first crazy bit of this crazy infrastructure project, which is a great tunnel through here, and the terrain that we're built through is not easy. The wireframe, as hideous as it might be, can help to illustrate the drama of the landscape and hopefully allow the difficulty of building this infrastructure project to translate over this, maybe. Or I'm just talking complete and utter rubbish. That is something that is very likely. But nevertheless, the trains are lovely. This is a lovely train line that snakes its way across the landscape. Here's a special something, a tunnel that goes quite sharply downhill, and the train goes onto a bridge, or a high bridge. Don't want to lose the elevation because the land that we're going to is not low, and the land that we're coming from is not low in elevation either, so we want to keep it if we can. And we're going single track here over the bridge. The bridges are expensive after all. They're really expensive. So the scope of this infrastructure project started when we left the eastern main line, and all the way through here there is nothing on the way. We're not really connecting up anything on the way here. There's not much going on in this part of the Republic. Not much at all. I really wish they'd fix the sound engine. So when you get close to the trains like this, sometimes, as now happens, the sound just doesn't work properly. And this is fine. This is fine. When you get closer, it's just not right. There's a level crossing out in the woods. There's a little village over there, untouched by communism. Or me. This rail, though, is certainly lovely. Over there in the distance is the capital with its two television station towers. Capital of Lecce, where the people actually have personal cars they drive around in. They get to drive around in VW Beetles. Bugs. Beetles. Bugs. Beetles. Folkvagn helt enkelt. En folkvagn. Volkswagen. That's what we bought for them. And the traffic can be quite horrendous sometimes, but they live in the capital, so we offer them automobiles to show them our gratitude for all the, after all, the culture for all of the Republic is provided from there through the television and radio stations and so on. We're grateful for their service. So this rail line is uh, not quick, not straight, very, very snaky. And it really is a special way of laying down track in this game. And you can do it like this, you can do it in other ways as well. You can flatten out terrain and so on, but this is the way I found most delivers the most beautiful looking rails that you want to just follow your trains along and look at them. We have a tunnel through a ruddy great, an enormous mountain. So in the tunnel, single track, of course. There's not many trains going through here after all. And we are soon to be at the finishing point. A while to go. Actually, there we go. You can see it. That's where we're going. One more tunnel. And look at these rays of something shooting through my Republic here. I don't know what happened. When I placed the road out in this area, as I was moving in, something happened. These things, they don't seem to actually interfere with anything, but they just showed up and shot out of the ground. Maybe it's the mother Moder Mother Gaia that is screaming back at me. No, stop extracting all these resources from me and stop. Or maybe it's just a bug in the game. I don't know. Let's see how we're doing here. There was some meat to unload. We could unload some tons of meat. We have food has been. You are loading up on food, and there we go. And we're going back now to the meat storage area, and it all starts over again. From here to where we left the main line was 9 million rubles to build. In early 80s, I believe it was built it. So costs in this game, the inflation really starts going, and you might think that in the 60s when you're going and you're making money and everything is going great. I have 35 million rubles and 200. This is a lot, of course, but the way I've chosen to play the game is to save up on dollars a lot and to use rubles to build stuff and everything. And a lot of vehicles are only available to buy in rubles. Anyway, that's enough blathering for now. The sun is setting on this glorious day of the Republic. Let's see if we can make out where actually the actual direction of northeast, south, etc. is. The sun is setting over there. That means that this is west. We end on a solemn fly out over the landscape here. We have sleeping towns with no electricity, just waiting to be swept up and join the revolution just in time for the dissolution of the Soviet Union, which is not that far away. Am I still heading in the same direction as I started? I hope so. If we indeed here see a NATO symbol, that means that the sun and everything is correct in the game. Yes, indeed, we follow the sunset and it was west. That is correct. And the minimap, we are now over here according to the minimap, which a reasonable way to hold a map is that you have north this way, east that way, west that way, and south that way. This one is different because according if that was what you were doing, I would now be in the northeast, but I am not. I am in fact in the west, maybe even well, am I close to it? Anyway, that will wrap it up for now. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.